Hey guys, welcome to my channel, welcome to my show. And this is in continuation, this episode in a series I've just recently started like a week back or something, where we are trying to contrast the words of Jesus Christ with Paul, or some very close to Jesus Christ, like John or James, for example, some other writers, including Peter. But we are trying to contrast them with the sayings, teachings of Paul, like juxtaposing, putting them side by side for you, the viewer, to understand the difference in that teaching. Now, friends, that is a strategy which will help you immediately understand the difference in their teachings. What is Jesus teaching and what is Paul teaching? Now, that also helps us in what? In understanding what? See, guys, for that you have to understand. This is kind of a precursor to this video, because it is for the unversed. We are trying to establish here that Paul is the Antichrist who was there at the time John and beloved John, the apostle of Jesus, and all were teaching, the 12 were teaching. Because I will quote, because if we do not know who he is, we have missed him completely. He was there at the time of John. That's why James taught some things, John taught something, he pointed at something, Jude too. So who's this guy? That's what we are trying to figure out, who came 2000 years back and went away. Nobody lives more than 70, 80 years. He's been there 2000 years and we missed him completely. John revealed, John, the beloved apostle, in 1 John 4:3. This is the spirit of the Antichrist that, as you heard, is to come, but in fact is already in the world. So, guys, John gave us a strong heads up that the Antichrist you have been waiting for is here. What does an Antichrist mean? The meaning lies in its name itself. What does it mean in the moniker? Antichrist means opposite of Christ. Then that's exactly what that dude, and his name is Paul, the fake apostle Paul or Saul, which means what? Grave. Somebody who drags you to the grave. That's what he is. From the tribe of Benjamin, the ravenous wolf. Check out these things, guys. It is his teachings which I am going to attack. Not that he was from the tribe of Benjamin, not that he didn't walk a day with Jesus, not that he and his friends crucified Jesus. I'm not going to, or heckled him throughout his ministry, or murdered Stephen, or Stephen, the angelic Stephen of God, by stoning him to death, while Paul gave the orders, do it, and was standing guarding the clothes of his friends who were murdering Stephen. Neither will I talk about right now about saved by grace through faith, because I've talked about it 1,000 times. Grace was used by this Antichrist Paul to replace Jesus with a word called grace. Grace is a word Jesus has never used in the entire Bible as per all or any of our current translations, versions. Jesus didn't say grace, neither did he use it on the day of judgment. Read Revelation 20, 11, 15, together with the goats and sheep judgment day account which Jesus gave. That's kind of a clinching evidence, guys, that this man was not from Christ. Paul was not from Christ. He gave his own doctrine of saved by grace through faith and not works, lest no man may boast. He took out the obedience part. He didn't want us to have any good works. That is where Jesus completely rejected on the day of judgment. Blow by blow, he gives you the account. Read Matthew 25, 31, 46, also called goats and sheep. Judgment day vision. Can you or anybody or I or anybody else change it? Will it not happen word for word? Jesus says in Matthew 24:35, the whole universe can crash, burn, and disappear. Every word of mine will come to pass. He wants us that everything he's saying is going to happen. Based on his assurance and everything else, I can testify everything of the Bible has come good in my life. Someday I will record my testimony. It's mind-boggling, everything coming from India 20 years back, not knowing a word who's Jesus. Somebody who died on the cross somewhere in Middle East. Beyond that, I didn't know. To this, everything is coming good, guys. This will also come good. What? The rejection of saved by grace through faith and not by works, lest no man may boast. Jesus used a dramatically different criteria, as he was like his father. It was all about works and obedience, all works and obedience, and that I will explain at the end of the video. If I fail or I do not remember to, it was through love and compassion. That was the thing. He wants good Samaritans. Read Matthew 25:31-46. Cut it out, print it and take it out of that book or wherever, or the paper, paste it somewhere, you can see it every day. That's the end of Bible, the judgment day, or the beginning of the end. And of course then you have the beautiful sights of heaven. But this is where humanity either makes it to heaven or not. The not is very dangerous, because that not leads you to a very dark place of suffering, torment, rejection, and absence of the light of Christ. Okay? So be very careful, guys. So here we are back to 1 John 4:3. This man, Apostle Paul, is talking about the presence of Antichrist while he was ministering, evangelizing. Who? Apostle John. He said the Antichrist is already here. Alright? Keeping all this in mind, now we will jump into the context of this video. Because Paul revealed who he is. See some of my videos, guys. Some are very lengthy because they have exhaustive research. This research was done at a very great expense. I've lost my family. I've lost even my country. I'm sitting here. Country would mean I'm a citizen of United States and I'm staying in India. It is all interrelated to the work I'm doing. My children left me, my wife left me, my family has left me. Everybody, I live alone. This is the price I must pay, and it's fine with me. I'm ready to die also. Jesus says whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever wants to lay down their life for me and the sake of my gospel will keep it. It was a very hard call, remember. It was diluted, watered down into a farce. It has become a farce. Believe and go to heaven. Believe and go to heaven. This believe and go to heaven was rejected comprehensively, conclusively, and completely by Jesus on the day of judgment. What do we do with this trashy heresy of saved by grace through faith? Grace is not used and faith is not used. Works were used. Jesus says in Revelation, my recompense is in my hands and I shall give to you according to what you have done. Revelation 20:11-15 says the same thing. The books were opened and people were given according to what they have done. How many times can we reject, brothers and sisters? Before I go into this, I had requested some friends, all viewers, all of you, whoever is watching, let us come together, guys. One person, two persons are not sufficient. We have to collectively, corporately do a teamwork. We have to be a team. Team of whom? Team of Jesus Christ, to expose the Antichrist. Who is that Antichrist? It is Paul. By now only you know he taught a false doctrine and he called it my doctrine, my doctrine. He didn't even want to baptize. What a shame when Jesus says make disciples of all the nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to observe all things I have commanded. And truly I shall be with you for the end of the ages, till the end of the ages. Here Paul says I wasn't given So what were you given, Paul, to deceive us? That's all right, to take us on the high road of condemnation. That's what you wanted, high road to hell. You are a man of perdition, and you want to put us on a fast track to perdition of the soul, a complete and absolute destruction. Sorry guys, I get very perturbed, I get very angry with this man, with this Antichrist and all his shenanigans and his deceptions. So, coming back to the point, I request all of you, let us work as a team to expose this false apostle so that more and more can come to the knowledge of Jesus Christ's truths, which lay captured, what a blessing, in the Bible as red lettered words. Or just some people are even trying to object my phraseology of red lettered. Okay, red letters just means highlighting what Jesus was speaking. That's all. Nothing extra is added or subtracted from the Bible. It is what it is. What Jesus says, read that, guys. It's a dramatically different doctrine, and that's why he's not taught. Matthew itself smashes to smithereens all this heresy of saved by grace through faith. It's all about condemnation. If you're not going to obey, he will condemn you. Take it as a guarantee, not from me, from Jesus. Not one of you shall enter the kingdom of heaven unless you do the will of my Father. 7:21, Matthew 7:21. Similarly, umpteen number of times he had warned us, guys. It's serious. And that's why this video series is being made, and I'm getting feedbacks from many of the viewers. Raj, look, there is this contradiction here, there is this contradiction there. Guys, I'm very grateful to you that you're pointing out. I've recorded to one of Stephen Schmidt's, somebody else's, my friend Matt, Matt G, whatever feedback I'm giving, you don't have to record if you don't want to. I'm here, I'm your servant. I don't mind, I'm the least of you all. I'm ready to serve all of you, and I will give all credit to you. But I will check it out, I'll vet it, I'll make sure it is consistent, and then of course, because I'm endorsing it. So there is a nice line of, check and balances going on before these videos are being shot and given to you, so you understand. And I would advise you, the viewer, please check it out in your Bibles, check out everything, study the Bible, and especially the words of Jesus, and study them repeatedly. Even if you study something like Matthew and John for 10-15 times, you will know. Best is to read all the 4 Gospels, book of Revelation, John's epistles, and Peter. In fact, apart from those 14 books of Paul, including Hebrews, read everything, and you will see the symmetry or congruence or consistency with what Father God taught in the First Testament. This is bloody nonsense, Old Testament. What do you mean old? It is not old, it's a continuous narrative from beginning, from Genesis to Revelation. It is a continuous Old Testament, New Testament. What Jesus taught is what he said. Fulfilling everything needed in the Old Testament was taught by Jesus. And it was in fact a one word, love, which we missed completely. Godly love was what was needed to obey the entire law and the teachings of the prophets. Matthew 22:37-40, check it out. That's your homework. Matthew 7:12, Luke 10:25-28, the judgment day vision, Matthew 25:31-46, rejection of sin, complete rejection of sin, making a U-turn from sinful ways and turning to what? Righteousness. Practicing loving kindness, which is the zenith, Mount Everest of righteousness. That is all that was needed, guys, to be saved. Why is it so hard to practice righteousness? Why? It's the most beautiful thing. Do not believe these liars who teach our righteousness is filthy rags. No, my righteousness is not filthy rags. I fight. I'm not perfect, but I fight. And it gets better and easier. Like anything. Start with if you haven't played tennis, go and pick up a racket. You will be anywhere but near the ball. I remember my first NCP club, Nagpur, India. I couldn't go anywhere. I started crying to my daddy. Dad, I can't even see the ball. How will I play this game? He says, Beta, child, don't worry. This is your first day. Second day, third day, falling here, falling there. I was very skinny, very small. I said, I can't even lift up the tennis racket. He says, please try. 7 days, 7th day, I got the ball back, guys, on the other side of the net. I used 2 hands because it's too small, too skinny. But once I got the ball, the coach said, You're getting a hang of it, dude. Keep trying. You're not very good, but you're getting slightly better. And then, of course, I played at higher levels. Whatever we want to do comes only by practice. We have to learn to practice righteousness consciously. That I will not respond in judgment, in hate, in jealousy, in anger, but in patience and love. See how dramatically it changes your life? The power of God comes upon you, His Spirit. It will guide you. It will tell you. That's His conscience speaking. His conscience is voice of God. Don't do this, don't do that. Listen to that. Practice kindness. Practice love. It will make a dramatic difference in your life and put you on the track of salvation, guys. That was the message which remains ununderstood, not understood, misunderstood and untaught even today. It was loving kindness, which is called karuna in Hindi, my language, Karuna. Bible, the Hindi translation is full of that word for a reason, the Hindi version of Bible. Karuna, loving compassion. Forget karuna, you might not remember. Loving kindness, loving compassion. If you can't remember anything, remember that four-lettered word, love, godly love. It will take you further than you can ever imagine in your life. Deal with love, secure your life, practice prudence, secure yourself. Don't let people take advantage, but practice love. Remember, blessing is also love, forgiveness is love. Forgetting things where people have hurt you is also love. Love has a very beautiful and vast, it's like an ocean. It's the perfect way to define God. 1 John 4:8 says, whoever does not learn to love does not know God, for God is love. He's saying very clearly, John, if you have not learned to love, you have no relation left with God. That means no chance, okay? So anyway, this is good stuff, because I have to also, as the Lord taught me, I'm helping you understand what is the crux, what is the summary. It was one word, love. Learn to love. That's what 1 John 4:8, 1 John 4:16 says. If you missed it, you can make it, okay, on the last day. Now coming back to 1 John 4:3, he says the Antichrist is there. Now, in this we are talking about the flagrant contradiction between Paul and Jesus. Now, Jesus says very clearly, whoever does the will of God is saved, okay? But before that, let us say, see, he's talking about obedience of the law. I will read out Matthew 12:48-50. It's also in Mark, by the way. What is in the Mark? I believe 8:33 or somewhere, where Jesus says, repeat it in Mark, but I will be reading Matthew 12:48-50, where Jesus says, who's my mother? The incident is when he was teaching and they had come to meet him, his mother and brothers. So the disciples, somebody said, Jesus, your mother and brothers are here looking for you and you're doing this teaching here. He says something of vital importance. That's why it's important to sift, not just to read the words of Jesus. Sift them, soak them in your heart and mind and drink them up and implement them. Tell yourself, implement everything Jesus is teaching. It's going to be of crucial importance. Remember my words. Jesus says, who's my mother and who are my brothers? And he stretched out his hand like this. And he says, here, to the people who were with him, who were listening to him, the ones who loved him and his disciples, here are my brothers and my mother. Now listen, for whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my brother and sister and mother. What is the will of the Father? Obey the law. That's written all throughout the Bible. Obey the law. I've just told you the completion of law is through love. It will come back to that word love and kindness, loving kindness again. Karuna will come back again and again and again. That's what he's saying. Do the will. Whoever does the will of God is my mother, brother and sister. In other words, the rest Bye-bye. Because if you're not going to do His will, what? Of whom? God. Who is God? What is His primary attribute? It is love. 240 times in Psalms. His love endures forever. 1 John 4:8, He is love. It's not hard to understand once you dive or dwell deep into the words of Christ. Then you will know the truth. And that truth will set you free from all these deceptions. Read the words of Jesus, implement them. So He's saying, who's my mother, who's my brother? Whoever does the will. You got that point, right? And then in Matthew 7:21-23 says, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, listen guys, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done many wonders in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice what? Lawlessness. That's the operative word here. Crucial word is you who practice lawlessness. Get the heck out of my sight. Why? Because they had rejected what? The law of God. And like I said, how is it all fulfilled? Can I hear? Loving kindness. The ones who practice loving kindness at the risk of their lives, like the Good Samaritan. Same people were mentioned by Jesus on the day of judgment, a scene waiting to happen. Again, the Good Samaritans will be, they were called the sheep, and they were made to stand on His right hand side. Come here, He said. For you, my heaven has been made for you always, since the very foundation, for ones like you. Who are those? Good Samaritans, the altruists, if you will. The ones who didn't care about their life, walked out of their comfort zone and helped, blessed, and loved others who were poor, needy, suffering. Those are the souls He's looking for to save. Guys, there's no chance for others, zero. Because He says many are invited, few are chosen. These are the few. He calls them also righteous because the heaven belongs only to the righteous. But who are the righteous? Jesus declares, reveals them. Matthew 25:37, Matthew 25:46. He calls them righteous. The righteous will be taken to heaven. Well, who are these righteous? The Good Samaritans who didn't care for their lives, but went out of their lives and served others as well. This is the theme of Bible. This is the message of Bible. This is the reason that God made this, what I call Project Earth. And He will walk with those children who had a very high love quotient, compassion quotient, CQ in their heart. That's what He was looking for, guys. You got it now? Anyway, I'm trying to mix it all up in a good way. A nice blend of the truths of God from different places, and we're bringing it together. All become one thing. Love, because God is love, okay? So, coming back to Matthew 7:23, Jesus admonishes and condemns. Who? The lawlessness. Now, let's see what Paul talks about, which will finish this video, okay? Before I go to Paul's words, where he says all things are lawful, remember, Paul himself says in 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 3, don't let anyone deceive you in any way, for that day will not come until, that's the day of judgment, until the rebellion occurs and the man of lawlessness is revealed. For you again the same thing. 2 Thessalonians 2 verse 3. He's telling the churchgoers there, or the Thessalonians, don't let anyone deceive you in any way, for the day will not come until the rebellion occurs and the man of lawlessness. Remember this man of lawlessness is revealed, because it is happening now, this minute. This man of lawlessness, which Paul predicted, because he knew who that man of lawlessness, because it was him, is revealed, that man doomed to destruction, perdition. It's this man, Paul, is talking about himself. How can we be sure? Already I bet you know, but here you go. Paul makes a shocking statement twice in the book of Corinthians, where 1 Corinthians 6:12 and 1 Corinthians 10:23. I would like you to read that. Because he would mix the good with very toxic, and we have to catch the toxic. There's a lot of good he speaks, and then he will insert what I call, excuse me for my French, farts. He will fart. You have to catch that. Where does Paul fart? Where does he add his toxic bit? Here it is. Twice in the letter to the Corinthian church, Paul uses the statement, all things are lawful unto me. All things. Everything is lawful to me. Who says such things, guys? And then again he says in 1 Corinthians 6:12, beg your pardon, 10:23. First time he says in 1 Corinthians 6:12, and then he repeats it in 1 Corinthians 10:23 as if for good measure. What does he say? All things are lawful to me. He's a man who will say such things. Can we say all things, anything? It's like I do my will because everything is lawful to me. He's talking like Mafia Don, like Don Corleone. All things are lawful to me because I make an offer. People can't refuse. He's becoming like Mafia Don. Everything is lawful to me. There's no law. He's a man of lawlessness, guys. It doesn't need much. You guys are educated. You understand the meaning. Who will say such a thing? All things are lawful to me. A very hardened criminal of the status of murderer or beyond. Everything is lawful to me. Alright guys, with that I will end this video. I want to thank Christina. Christina is the girl who's a new rising star in this world of ones who are fighting like yours truly. I say that humbly. I've been doing it for 3.5 years. There's my friend Marty Kozad who was there or came about 6 months after me. He's from the state of Nebraska. Very hard work he's done in exposing. Check out his channel also, Marty Kozad. Consistently, hundreds of videos. I put close to 275 to 80 videos exposing the false apostle. There is Del Tondo. Mr. Del Tondo has done the same thing about Paul, exposing him. Although respectfully I must say that I do not agree with the salvation part of it, but we are not going to, the salvation doctrine is not being discussed. More is with him. It is the expose or revelation of Paul that he is a false apostle. Del Tondo has done a lot of work, but recently a girl called Christina has come up, and I've seen some of her videos. I've been interacting through my videos she used to write, and I've come to understand, and after watching her video, that she has an immense knowledge about this subject, and I would highly recommend you check out her channel and watch her videos. Now Christina is the one who wanted, or I requested her when she said the man of lawlessness, which I just discussed in this video. The source of this came from Christina. I want you guys to, and I thank you very much, Christina, profoundly. May God bless you and yours. I want such kind of participation from you guys. If you're uncomfortable doing it yourself, here is a servant for you. I'm here, an actor, a cheap actor, or whatever. Cheap would mean free. I charge nothing. Please tell me, I will do it. Together we are stronger. As a team we will work and rip the deceptions to pieces. Thank you so much for watching my videos. Thank you, Christina, for your inputs. Thank you everybody for their inputs. God bless you richly and completely with wisdom and understanding. Guys, please don't forget to tune to my next one. This is an ongoing series. Thank you for watching my video. God bless you all.